But first, let me welcome to this program Dr. Bakari Jalingo. He is the National Population Commission Census Manager. Thanks for joining us.
It is a pleasure, sir.
Right. Well, it's 17 years since last head count took place in this country. And at this stage, the first thing to find out is how prepared is the National Population Commission for this exercise?
Yeah, thank you very much, Cyril, and thank you, Nigerians. The National Population Commission have started preparing for this census since 2013. And the basic foundation for the census is the enumeration area demarcation, which we started in 2013 with the pilot phase at Ondo State in one local government area. And today, by the grace of God, we have demarcated 773 local government areas nationwide. And that is the best bedrock for any census to take place, because the enumeration area is the area demarcated in a manner that the country can be covered, in a manner that we can assign enumerators, in a manner that we can plan for man and material that are required for the census. Today, by the grace of God, we have an EA frame, which is geospatial based. That means it's a digital frame. We have been able to touch all buildings in Nigeria. We are able to capture all roads, all streets, all hotels, everything that you know that is standing in Nigeria have been captured in our geospatial database. And that geospatial database has earned us an international award in the US by ESRI. So, and it's one of the greatest assets the national population has for Nigeria. And NIPOS is leveraging on that to plan the postal code system for Nigeria. And I think other organizations like ENEC has also leveraged on this what we did for the elections. So it's a database that is available not only for census, but also for other surveys and also for national planning and development. So, and that is one of the greatest assets that we can say we have. If you could remember, and if you are part of the process, you know that in 2006, when the census was conducted, we only have digital maps of only major cities in Nigeria. Today, by the grace of God, we have digital maps of every part of this country in all the 773 in local government areas that we have covered. And most of this exercise has been done within this regime. About 772 local government areas were demarcated under this administration. And that is to show the commitment and zeal that the government has in ensuring that we conduct this census, which was not done in 17 years.
All right, so since you've been preparing for this for a number of years now, but there are a lot of questions that Nigerians will ask. Seeing that it's 17 years, and not many people have come to think very much about a national census. It's only when let's talk about what the actual population is, and we've had all kinds of speculations from 120 to 119 to 200, and estimates have gone up to 219 million. So perhaps it's on that premise that many people would say, let's even know just how many we are as Nigerians. But beyond that, would like you to emphasize the significance of the census to socio-economic development of Nigeria.
First and foremost, thank you very much for this question. As you know, Nigeria is a signatory to, is one of the members of the UN family. And one of the goals of the UN is Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. And Nigeria is a signatory to that goal. And it has about 17 areas of intervention that, okay, we want to improve human development index by improving level of education, gender equality, reducing hunger, creating shelter, also providing housing, and so many other things that are contained in those goals. And those goals need to be benchmarked with set out indicators. And it is only the census data that can provide that indicators that we'll use to benchmark Nigeria under the Sustainable Development Goals. In addition to that, Nigeria is also a signatory to the African 2063 agenda, where African countries have agreed to improve their human development indexes to certain levels. And it is only the census data can provide data to benchmark Nigeria in terms of achieving those goals. In addition to that, locally here we have the just concluded Economic Recovery Growth Plan and the National Development Plan. So all these plans are things that needs to be benchmarked and to ensure whether we have achieved or meet the targets of those goals and aspirations as a country, as a nation, as a member of the international family. So, and it is only the census data, and that is why census data is critical. That is why, as developed as the United States of America, it has never failed to conduct its census. As developed as India, it has never failed to conduct its census since 1872. Some African countries like Ghana have been consistently conducting census. Even when COVID hit in 2021, because they consider the importance of census, they did a census in COVID in 2021, despite the COVID. So that is how census is important to countries. South Africa, because of the importance of census, they conduct their census every 5 years, and they have not failed for a long period of time. Similarly, Kenya and other countries, even in Africa. So census is an important set of data for planning at our local government level, at our state level, at the national level. So it is not something that we need to toy with. It is something that we need to know whether we are making progress. As a lot of people are saying, when you plan in the dark, you are planning to fail. You can set out some infrastructures where they are needed. They are not needed because you don't know, you have not known what type of people you are planning for. You can create roads that are not really needed, or what they need is something different, because you have to have an estimation of population that are using that. Even providing education. What kind of people are you providing education? Are you providing education for young people's primary, nursery, secondary, or higher education? All these, you have to know your population to be able to do that. If you come to medical care, what kind of population do you have? If you have an aged population, the kind of drugs you put in the health facilities are different. If you have a young population, if you have women that are in their productive ages, then you have to plan for maternal care and also children care and so on and so forth. So population data is everything about what a country, what a nation, what any community at the lowest level. And it is only the census data that can provide you data at the lowest level of planning, either enumeration, either locality, either the ward level. So the state, local government, and national level. Surveys do not provide those informations. And that is why census is important for any country, for any place. And that is why some countries don't take it. It's just like an election. If it is that round, if it comes, whatever it is, you hold a census.
All right. Well, as you have mentioned, you need the data to engage in valuable planning for the economic growth of the country. But you say you've been working on this since 2013, right? And we would ask at this point, how much awareness have you put out there and created, seeing how large this country is, seeing how unused most of the population are to the benefits of the census?
Yeah, first and foremost, we have to create systems. Digital census comes with system creation. And the 2020 principles and recommendations of the United Nations have said countries should leverage on digital technologies to implement their census. And like I've always said, what is available out there in terms of digital application to census undertaking is just, you can just do what your knowledge can do. The opportunities are limitless. You know, having done traditional censuses, that is why we tell our senior colleagues that have retired that we have done a traditional census. So there's a lot of difference between a traditional census and a digital census.
Yeah, a lot of people would even like to know that.
So that's where we tell our colleagues that you have done a traditional census. So the opportunities we have now are limitless. And you can see when Sheyi was trying to highlight what we have done. So first and foremost, we tried as a commission and to set up all the digital tools for the census exercise. Like I told you, our geospatial database, that is the enumeration database, is 100% digital. That means we have touched every building. We know the geo-coordinates of each building that is standing in Nigeria as of the time we demarcated it.
You do that?
We do that in our database. We know what this place is used for. We can tell you on our map that this is an NTA headquarters. So every building in Nigeria we have touched and we have the geo-coordinates. So we know the relative place it is on Earth. So that is one.
While I'm doubting that, you know, Nigerians like to find out a lot about that. You've touched every building, including a structure like this, including that mud structure I have deep in the remote areas of my village.
Cyril, I wish you can come to our office, and we try to give Nigerians, every Nigerian, an opportunity to come. We can even show you even where you have the Fulani nomads, the everything, where you have the fish camps. What we did before is that we have been able to map all these locations, and we can tell you specifically where these things are. And what we are trying to do in this census now is that it's unlike before. We can tell you that, okay, we now want to attach the population to these buildings, to these structures. Right. So you are caught, and the population, we attach you to your building, we attach you to the households that you have in the database. So wherever you are, we can say, okay, this is Cyril Stober, he is in this locality, he is in this enumeration area, and this is his household in the building that he's staying. So in addition to that, in the past, we are looking at all these things real time in our offices. The enumerators, as they carry the tablets, we are seeing their footprints. If we assign you to a building, to an enumeration area, we carrying your tablet from Abuja can take you to that enumeration area without asking anybody, this is where you are going to work. And the same tablet cannot allow you to go out of your enumeration area. In a traditional census, you have to train the enumerators. This is how to locate their enumeration areas. This is how to ensure that they don't enter another person's boundary, so there is not going to be a balab. This time around, you are even geofenced within the enumeration area that you are asked to work. So the opportunity of even going to work in an area that you are not assigned is not there. The opportunity of even taking the tablet to go and work in another area that is not assigned to you is not even there. So we have done that. We have created what we call, apart from the geospatial database, we have the geospatial data dashboard, where we see if there are new buildings, we see it, and we expect the enumerators to update. But you know, we have the liability. If you are showing us that there is a new building, our office data quality management staff will actually use the satellite imagery to narrow in that area, because we have already mapped that area, and see whether that building that you said have been added is actually there. You understand?
So it's not a question of someone making some claims that something has been put there. You can actually verify.
We can verify in our office. We can verify if there is a new building. Like now, if you call an architect, say, okay, come and take. They don't even take the square. They don't have to measure tapes. They just go to Google Map and see that area and carve it out. So if there is a new building in that area, we'll be able to tell. So all these opportunities are there for a very reliable and digital census. And first, we leverage on even getting the enumerators. I'm privileged to work in the 1991 census. I'm privileged to also do the 2006 census.
All right, then you were at the 1991 census.
Yeah.
That's when enumerators carried bags around.
Carried bags, questionnaires, and it took us about 3 weeks, 1 month of loading questionnaires into our data processing centers. 1 month carrying questionnaires. Now it's a census that is seamless. You can work offline on your tablet, transmit the data, and it comes real time. If you don't have internet connectivity, you work offline when you get internet connectivity. And we have mapped out in the whole country, we know where you have internet connection and where you don't have internet connection. We know where you have which type of network. Is it MTN that is strong? Is it Glo that is strong? We have done that in conjunction with all the telecoms and NCC. So we have laid our enumeration maps and also the service map that is being provided by all these networks. So we are leveraging on that. So each network, wherever you have strength, you are going to provide service to us. And we are not, if you have 3 networks, we take the 2 strong ones. In the event we fail in one, then the alternate network will also provide data. And in the event both of them don't work, we know the areas that are not having any network coverage at all. And we are developing a strategy on how to deal with that. So it is a census that we have taken our time, and we have put all the system in place to ensure that we deliver on an accurate and reliable census. Apart from that, even our materials that we are using for the census are being monitored on a logistic dashboard. So our materials on transit, we can tell that these our materials are on transit. We can also tell that our materials have reached the destination where they are, at what quantity, and all these things. And all this can be seen on our dashboard in the offices. And at every administrative level, at the national level, we'll be able to see all this dashboard. At the state level, they will be able to see what is restricted to their state. At the local government area, they will see what is that pertains to their local government area. And we have data quality management areas that we have carved out, so that for some local government areas that are big, we have 2 data quality management that will be looking at the dashboard, be looking at the data real time, and be looking at whatever the enumerators are doing at any point in time. Are they doing the right thing or they are not doing the right thing? So we have leverage on all digital census technologies and opportunities. And we have done that. We have gone to South Africa that have conducted a digital census. We went there to visit them when they are doing a census. We went to Brazil and have seen what they are doing. And apart from that, we have a situation room where we monitor all the activities from the headquarters here. We have situation room in our state offices. We have also done an integrated call center. The call center gives Nigerians the opportunity to relate with us, ask questions about the census, seek clarity, inform us on whatever that is happening. And that is working almost 24/7 at our peak times. So all these things, and these are things that you can ask, and because we know that not everybody speaks English, we have call center agents that are from all over the country. So as much as possible, we are trying to bring the census closer to the people.
Okay. Well, yes, so many issues will be raised, but we also have a number of reports. This one is from Lagos.
Yeah.
So reports from Lagos and Kano have just about highlighted what would go on. But yes, before we took those reports, you still had to talk about what you have put into publicity.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cyril. I know that is your area of interest. Yes. You know, the issues are so many. I was about to talk on them when we went on break. First and foremost, we developed advocacy and publicity strategy with the support of the United Nations Population Fund, who brought Population Council from the US. They are expert in public awareness and also in terms of census population advocacy issues. We developed a robust strategy, and they didn't do that in isolation. They conducted some qualitative research, spoke to communities, spoke to traditional leaders, and they got informed decision, people's perception on the census, and what is the level of awareness about the census. So all this sets out as the basis for the strategy. And that strategy has spelled out everything we need to do on publicity and advocacy for the census. In addition to that, under the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Information, and which I know all the head of media agencies, NTA, VOA, NOAA, all of them are part of members of the Publicity and Advocacy Committee for the Census. They have been working assiduously. An inaugural meeting has been held. They have also started undertaking the advocacy and publicity for the census. The Commission has, part of that strategy implementation, have done road shows and so many other events that have been outlined for this. And I think our appearance today is also part of that drive to educate Nigerians on the census. So there's a very robust census enlightenment program. The commission was a little bit silent because we want the election to come and pass, and by the grace of God, the election has passed. You find out that we have upscaled the advocacy and publicity for the census, and we'll continue to do it to educate Nigerians in the marketplaces, in their homes, as they move on the street and everything, and every hands on deck. And the stakeholder participation in the Publicity and Advocacy Committee headed by the Honorable Minister, Lai Mohammed, is a very robust one with women group and a lot of veterans in the publicity. And I believe that with that set of people leading the publicity and advocacy drive for the census, a very good job is going to be done to ensure that Nigerians are educated on the census at the lowest level. And it's so important because I know you'll give me the opportunity, a video going around in the country that questions are going to be asked on religion and that...
right, we'll get there, so many of those things. But well put in that case, and these are issues that we'll still raise tonight with Dr. Bakari Jalingo, who's the census manager of the National Population Commission. But an exercise such as this is huge and requires massive funding. Many Nigerians would ask, where is all of this coming from? Is it strictly by just government allocation? Or are we getting support from international organizations, and not necessarily financial support, including logistics support? Seeing that we haven't done this in 17 years, and we're doing a digital exercise for the first time. So we'd like to know about the support.
Yeah, thank you very much for talking about support, and it is important that Nigerians know the government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari has been very, very supportive to this census. I told you before the coming of this government, we've done only one local government area of the enumeration demarcation. And this government gave us all the impetus to be able to complete the 773 local government areas as of today, while the 774 was also demarcated using hybrid method. So our support presently is almost government, almost I can say about our support is almost 100% government. But for the support we have received from the United Nations Population Fund, who have hired an international census advisor, chief census technical advisor, and by no means is a huge investment to bring an international advisor that will help us lead a census, an advisor that have about 11 censuses experience from his country in Kenya. And he has also superintended the digital census in Ghana. So he has brought a wealth of experience to our processes and our systems, and we appreciate the UNFPA for doing that. In addition to that, we have received some high technically aided systems from UNFPA also, and they have also provided some technical experts for post-enumerations and census and for some of our other census. In addition to that, the UNECA, United Nations Economic Commission, using the Addis Ababa office, have provided us support in terms of technical support, in terms of building the enumeration dashboard for the census. So, but I can tell you most of the funding is purely government for now. We have conducted 2 donors engagement meetings and to sort of garner support for the census through the international community and also through the Nigerian populace. Because census is not for only government. Private sector, we believe, are going to leverage on this data for all their planning. Cyril, it's only in Nigeria that you do everything in the dark. When you visit any country in the world, nobody goes to a place without even knowing the kind of people that they Google their map, they pull out the data, or they do everything, even moving to a location. You have to know the kind of people you go there. So every investment sector requires this census data for their destiny. And you find out that we have information that other people appreciate. Like I can tell you, the geospatial database that the Commission developed, it is something that you say is priceless. You understand? Because if any country have that kind of resource, I can tell you that they are home and done as far as they are planning for most of the activity is concerned. So for now, funding is majorly government through the 2022 budget, and before the 2022 budget, some interventions were received to complete the enumeration area demarcation. And so we only have more of government commitment and very minimal of international support.
A good thing you talked about the importance of getting this data. I want us to look in one other direction. And Nigerians as a people are known to be very economical with information about themselves and the things they do. You hear that sometimes they tell you it's a cultural thing. You ask a man how many children he has, and he says, I have many, because my culture does not allow me to count my children. Right? Yeah. So some people are not likely to tell you their ages because, well, it's something that's, they tell you, no, we don't want to tell you that I'm X years old. And you find such situations. Some Nigerians will rather not talk about family members or will just generalize and say, they're all my brothers. How do you intend to navigate these turbulent waters of extracting what is seen as very personal information from people?
Yeah, and the keyword is advocacy, public enlightenment, community enlightenment. We have developed an in-house. Age is a very important factor in a demographic endeavor because everything you need to do based on that age segmentation. If you are planning for education, you need that age segmentation. If you are planning for healthcare, you need age segmentation. So if you are planning for education, whatever you are planning, I have earlier told you, even if it is a hospital you are citing, if you are supplying drugs, what kind of drugs you need to supply in that hospital? It depends on the factor of what kind of population do you have. What are the age groups of your population? In Nigerian population, you have a lot of youths. And so you have to plan for that youth. So because we take age to be a very important factor, and it's one of the most difficult demographic information to get from people. One, because of lack of education. Two, probably people will not like to say their age. Because of that, we did what we conducted a research. We call it list of historical events. We visited the 774 local government areas. We visited in all the states. We visited the communities. We compiled lists of historical events. What are the important events that have taken place in the locality, in the local government, in the state, and in the nation? Probably when did President Muhammadu Buhari came into power? You write the date. So, and like me now, for example, how did I know my date of birth? My certificate was missing. But my mother could remember that I was giving birth 10 days after late Sardauna was killed. And that was how I was able to get my age estimation. So some will tell you, this man died when there was a thunderstorm or something, when he was born when there was a thunderstorm. So we compiled this list of historical events for all local government areas, for all communities. This is how, because age is a very important variable in a demographic process. So for some of the other issues, we are able to overcome. And like I have said, census is a scientific process. Is not like now, Cyril, you cannot come and tell me that maybe for a woman, I can tell you for a woman, she cannot come and tell me her age is 15. She has a child of 11 years or 12 years. Even the CAPI system we are using will not allow you to move forward. Is that clear? So even if you are not listing your family members as your own, the system will not allow you to move. It will make a lot of difficulty because the informations are not comprehensive to the system. So our first data quality assurance strategy is the copy. In the past, we collect these questionnaires with all these multiple of errors, come to the data processing center, we have to manually compare these questions, are they consistent, are they inconsistent? But now the system we are using will not even allow you to continue. So by that, we'll be able to know, even if I have my cousins or my uncle's children or my brother's children, the system will help us to know, because filter, the type of questions we ask and the type of response we get will be inconsistent by the time the actual response is not given to this. Assuming my senior brother's child is with me, I am 57 and he's 48 or so, and I said he's my child, and you find out that the system will ask you, is it possible? So it will not allow you to go. So that we are able to, and most importantly is that of public education. And that is why it's important, and that is why we are not taking it lightly at all. Our chairman and commissioners have done excellent in that perspective. Our chairman has undertaken advocacy visit to all former presidents of this country. He has undertaken advocacy visit to major leaders, either regional leaders, people of all districts, and he has also undertaken publicity and advocacy drive to all the governors. And we're at the stage of going to community level. Similarly, our commissioners in the states have done similar for the state, for the local government areas, up to the locality level. And this is an ongoing process. The whole idea is to ensure that every Nigerian is educated like the waves we are having. An imam will come out and say that Muslims, there is a question of religion, and that Muslims are asked questions about their religion, are segmented. And I think the commission, since we joined the commission in 1991, there was no question on religion. In 2006, under the leadership of President Obasanjo, and he even said it in his book, why that religion was not included in the census. Similarly, ethnicity. These are not things that we need for our immediate development. We don't segregate road by religion. We don't segregate water supply by religion. So we want to collect the important data that are going to be useful for our planning. So for the benefit of doubt, I have said it in even some media today, and all our people are saying there are no questions on religion, there is no question on ethnicity. So talk less of trying to segment one religion or the other. So we are going to upgrade our game in terms of publicity and awareness, and we have done much, but we still continue to do until we bring the census issues and the census questions to the doorsteps of every Nigerian. Just like he has mentioned, in 1991, I have been privileged to visit every locality in Ondo State. Ondo State, that is the Ondo and Ekiti to put together as a young officer. And that is what census work is. The work we do is not the work you sit down in an office and do. But you know, Nigerians, sometimes a lot of misbelief and all these things. But if you look at our processes, even when we started the enumeration demarcation area, the first set of people we sacked are the demarcators. Not that they don't go to the building, but if they stay away from the building, we want them to touch the building and check the coordinates. But by the time they go far away from the building and check the coordinates, it will show us that they are this far away from the actual building. They are the first set of people that we sent away from the census. In the past, they don't need to do that. They'll just draw that building on a map. But now they draw the map. We know at what position have they drawn the map. You know, so there's a lot of difference between this census and the past censuses. And every step we are taking is to ensure that we provide a data that is accurate, reliable, and most importantly, a verifiable data. Because if you now tell us that your house is not demarcated, it's not like before. We'll start looking for map. You can come to our office. We can show you the picture of your house, the picture of your building. And we can even narrow down to show you the number on your building that we have put. And you can go and check this thing.
All right. Well, at this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, the phone lines will open, and that means you can join in the conversation.
From Port Harcourt. Like I've said earlier, when you join, it's a digital census. It has a lot of opportunities that we are leveraging on. Some of these issues, I have been a census practitioner. By the grace of God, I have conducted 1991 and 2006 census. And we are blessed, the Director General presently sitting as the head of technical, he is a two-time census practitioner like me. He went to UN and came back as the Director General of the Commission. And I think almost all of us that are managing the census at management level, we have probably done the last two censuses. So we know the issues people are always saying, and I don't want to say that they are not true, and it's the perception of the individuals. And what we are trying to do in this census that is why we say it's a verifiable census. Is that clear? We are going to attach every Nigerian to the house, the building he is living. We are going to attach every Nigerian, he's going to have a geocode attached to the building he is living. In the building, we are going to attach him to the household that he is living. And all these references are going to be done on the database. So, and by the time we populate the map of Nigeria, I think you'll be able to see where you are. We can narrow down to the house that you are in the database, and even to where you are staying, the household. Even if in a building there are 2 or 3 households, we'll be able to attach you to the households that you are. And these are all digital opportunities. And one important thing is neutrality. And if we see that the structure of the commission, even we are mindful of all these things. And all this we are doing is just to ensure that there is acceptability in the process. Because census is not about how you conduct it, either it is this, but most importantly is the acceptability. Our processes right from the word go, we tried to make it open. We have engaged academicians, and I think we believe that these are people that are respected. We have started right from curriculum development. We have done it with them. We have developed the curriculum for training. We are implementing the census with them. And these are people that at least will tell Nigerians about our processes. And assuming we have the opportunity to bring all Nigerians to a platform, we have done stakeholders engagement in all at the national, at the 36th level, and at the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. All this is to show Nigerians of our transparent processes.
All right. We have another caller from Port Harcourt again, and this is Andrew calling in. Hello, Andrew.
Yes, I greet you, my brother Cyrus Tuba. My name is Andrew Ajayi, and I want to say that I have listened with rapt attention, and I think the discussion is ready for Nigeria's greatness. What I will be saying is that for the interest of the nation, in the spirit of character reformation, positive attitude, I am happy when you people show us these computer gadgets that looks like phone that you want to use. My apprehension is that I hope it is not going to be like the divorce machine that you people assured us heaven and earth. INEC assured us heaven and earth, made us to have confidence in it. Only for the right thing to be done, they refuse to do so. And as Nigerians, we are watching. So it is my hope, and the hope of Nigerians as well, that when we finish the counting, when it is time for uploading and calculation, we hope you will not say that.
Yeah, by the grace of God, like I have assured an earlier speaker, we are trying our best, and we want to show Nigerians. That's why the enumerators that we are recruiting, they are coming from the communities for several reasons. And that is why even the enumerators that we are recruiting, we make sure that they come from the community. They live in the community in which they are working. One, so that they can communicate in the language of the people, so that they cannot be seen as strangers in the process. And so we have developed these systems, and we have conducted a first pretest. We have done a second pretest. We have done a trial census, which by the grace of God was end-to-end. When I mean end-to-end, we tested right from the data collection to data analysis stage. And we took one local government area in each of the 6 geopolitical zones to ensure that we have an end-to-end system. And that we have tested, and the glitches that we have seen, we have tried all our possible best to ensure that they are corrected. And system is things that you continue to optimize and ensure that they are done very well, and we are happy with the stage in which we are as far as all our implementation plan and our systems operating level. And we have learned lessons. Before we conducted the trial census, we did not use what we call specialized workforce. But we realized that this technology needs experienced people to drive them. So in that, we injected a specialized workforce. They are our engine rooms, and they are the people that we have collected from all relevant government ministries and agencies. They are people that we believe that they are ICT savvy. We have put them under specialized training so that they can manage this gadget. Sometimes it's the issue of management. It's not the issue of use. So for the first time in a census, I have done 1991, I have done 2006 census. For the first time in a census, we are having 3 people to teach a class of 40 people. For the first time. And this is to ensure that people get. For the first time, we are putting all our census methodologies, we are putting it on video so that people can look at it at their free time so that they should know and understand these processes. We are conducting rigorous training in terms of conducting exam, conducting tests, and all this and all that, because we know that our system needs expertise to be managed. So we are making sure that only people that we have realized that are good to go that we take to the field. And in the past, we only did census we planned census for 3 days. We are using 5 days. We are doing a building numbering and household listing, which precedes the census. So that, and that will give us exact count of the buildings we are going to do, exact count of the households that we are going to visit for the actual enumeration, so that we don't have surprises, so that at least we'll be able to ensure that within the period of time, every Nigerian is enumerated, and every household is visited, and every building is touched. And even if there is any problem within those period of time, we have created another 5 days for mop-up, just in case you have 1 or 2 areas. So the commission is mindful of the enormity of the work, mindful of the responsibility placed on it, mindful of the need to give Nigerians a very accurate, reliable census, is working round the clock to ensure that happens at all levels, from our chairman down to the last person in the office.
Okay, then to the address of the chairman of the National Population Commission at the UN 56 session on population, where he spoke of how positive this exercise would be to the matter of gender responsive education, engineering, mathematics, youths, especially girls. So how will this address the deficiency in girls and youth empowerment?
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I've said in my opening remarks, this census is about benchmarking the SDGs, and all these are provided in the SDGs. This census is by benchmarking the Africa 2063 agenda. This census is about also benchmarking the National Development Plan. And you can look at, if you look at all these documents, they are documents that try to enshrine the issue of gender equality. So you cannot know whether an inequality exists or it doesn't exist. What is the proportion of our girl child that are educated today? At what is the level of their education? Do they even have opportunity for education? You know, at what age are they married? If they are married, do they have access to health care? So all these are the information that the 2023 census will provide for Nigeria. And the census is scientific, and science is not story, you understand? So looking at the census data, even when we had to work analogically, when we have to review questionnaires analogically, I just want to buttress what I can have said. Even when we have to do that, yours sincerely, by the grace of God, I always say it, if you administer 10 questionnaires, not in a household that exists, manually I would be able to detect 80 to 90% of those questionnaires. And the digital platform provide opportunity for us in real time. In fact, it will not even allow you to move. And even if you move, you know, garbage in, garbage out. So Nigerians should be educated on that. And we also have what we call post-enumeration survey. The post-enumeration survey is also going to see whether the census is complete, whether the questions are complete, and is going to benchmark every information that is in the census data with that of the post-enumeration survey. And we have done it for the trial census. And this time around is not manual comparison. You have algorithms that are developed to compare these informations. If you say this building is existing, is it actually existing? This is going to be done after the census. If you say these households are existing, it will compare the census and the PES data. Even the individuals, even their ages, even their level of education. So all these are important because we want to get it right. And we believe that by the time we get it right, Nigeria will be respected in the Committee of Nations. By the time we go and speak to the level of our development or indicators in the UN, they will be respected. Because you see, for all of us that are in the field of demography, any good data, when you look at it, you see it. You don't even have to go to analyze it. You look at the data, you see that, yes, this data, yes, is speaking to that. If it's a bad data, it's a bad data. If we know it, we see it. So we are going to do it, and by the grace of God, by the time we know all this disaggregation, and we know what is the level of either education or assessment to health and all these things, it is going to uplift that of girl child, and it is also going to deliver on that sustainable development goal that requires equality, opportunity for girl child, and all these other parameters that are important. So, and we believe that our government and some governors have started use data. If you go to Kaduna State, now you realize that whatever the governor does, he does it with data. And that is why the first thing he did was to sort of improve the statistical agency in the state. And whatever planning, if it is a road that is being constructed, they leverage on data. If it is a school they want to plan, they leverage on data. And I think Slodu in Anambra State is doing the same. And because data is important, you just have to know the people you are leading. You have to know the type of people you are leading. None of us know the population of youths because we now realize that we have more youths. And because we need to know that this is the proportion of youth we need. We need to create jobs for them. If you don't know the number, you don't know the type of level of education, you cannot create job for these youths. And they become a problem. So census is important. Whatever the cost, it is a very important information that everybody needs at whatever level, private, government, or anybody. And I can tell you, I can tell Nigerians, the geospatial database we have today is sometimes when somebody asks what is the price, I say it's priceless. It's a priceless piece of information to know that every building in Nigeria and to tell you that this is what this building is used for. To know every road that is in this Nigeria, to tell you what type of road it is. You have seen in the small video shots, people have gone to all the nook and crannies. They have gone to all the riverine areas. They have gone to where there are no roads. So if you see what we have done, you realize that there's a conscious effort. And the system is in such a way that you cannot even tell lies because you are using a high-resolution satellite imagery. If you say there are no buildings here, even the Abadan that we are not doing, we have done a hybrid enumeration area. We know the buildings where there are buildings. We have demarcated the whole of that local government area because we have high-resolution satellite imagery that we have narrowed down. We have narrowed down to every location, including the Zambisa forest.
Well, with security concerns, and this is not just for the people of the area who would present themselves to be counted, but also for your personnel who would have to go into those areas that are on edge.
Yeah, well, we have what we call hard-to-reach areas and hard-to-count areas. And we have a strategic plan to ensure that the whole census is about simultaneity and also to ensure that everyone is covered. So we are mindful of these areas. We have mapped them and we have developed a strategy to deal with them. The hard-to-reach areas, we just have to adopt strategy that we can do to ensure that we reach them. And they are already mapped. All those areas are already mapped. And the hard-to-count areas too, we have adopted strategy to ensure that people there are also enumerated. Like areas of serious insecurity. If you look at what our chairman has done is to talk with all the security agencies. And We have also the National Security and Logistics Committee. So any area that we can reach on ground during the period of census, all these areas that we have mapped, we are going to reach them with the help of the security agencies. The areas that are invariably that you cannot meet, there are hybrid, internationally recognized models that you can use to count. And we are engaging the states. We are also engaging the stakeholders on what methodology to use. And it involves a lot of things. And when you see it, I think in part of Afghanistan, that was what was used for their census. And we are going to leverage on that. And we have experts from Grade 3 and from University of Southampton, which are very well known internationally on this modeling. It involves everything. It's not barely this, and the data from that is almost near accurate because a lot of consideration is put into that methodology. So we're engaging, and wherever we can go, and like I've said, we have demarcated all the 773 local government areas. That means we've been able to touch all these areas, the pocket of areas. We have a strategy in place to deal with it, and we are talking to the stakeholders and to see how best to address them. Our hope and belief and what we are striving for to ensure that we leave no one behind for the census.
The 3rd to the 7th, that's when this exercise takes place.
Yeah.
You're quite confident that within that time span, you can...
Like I have told you, 5 days. In the past census was done in 3 days. And this time around we use 5 days. The start is a Wednesday, hoping that the commission will approach Mr. President to make these days free, that is work free, so that Nigerians can remain at home and also to stop census migration because of its attendant negative approach. And by the time we have the Saturday and Sunday, in addition to the 3 days, which is 5 days, it will ensure that we have completed the work. And you know, we have done a trial census, we have done a first pretest, we have done a second pretest. So these days are not just days that we just sat down and dreamt and woke up and said, okay, 5 days is going to be used. For the first time in a census, the last 2 censuses that I actively participated, we don't have what we call a mop-up. Now we have put in 5 days for mop-up. These mop-up days, we ensure that all the data sets are in the database. So to ensure that everything in terms of communication, and in these 5 days again, if there is any area for any reason, say they have not complete, then we can now send and also make sure that those areas are counted. But like I have said, we are going to do a building numbering and household listing exercise, and that will also gauge and give us an idea of exactly how many buildings we are in each of the enumeration areas and how many households. So we know the workload. And we don't have any area of concern for now. And we are working around the clock with all relevant government agencies. We are working with NCC and all the major telecoms in Nigeria to ensure that our data are streamed and through a safe medium. So everything that we need to do, we have taken steps and we have done them. And by the grace of God, the Commission under the leadership of Nasir Isakwala will deliver to Nigerians a reliable, accurate, and verifiable census.
Well, your final person, the matter of census migration, which, of course, would suggest that people want to quickly move to other places and say, since we're going to have a head count, then I might decide to move from Abuja back to Mina so that I can be counted in Mina and be part of the population in Niger. So we'd like you to address that as you conclude.
Thank you very much. We don't want Nigerians to move for the purpose of the census. We want Nigerians to be where they normally reside, and so that the planning is going to be a meaningful planning. Assuming if all of us leave Abuja today and go back to our local areas, and the information for Abuja is on the estimated because of population migration, we are not going to do service to the places that we are. Census, most importantly, is not about how many people you are in your village. And the set of questions that we have, irrespective of whether you move or you don't move, if at the end of the census we'll be able to tell you that there is so many people from Anambra, from this local government area, irrespective of if they're in Lagos, if they're in Kano, if they're in my home state in Taraba. We should be able to tell each and every person where he comes from, not necessarily with moving. But when you stay where you are, it is very important so that we can get data that is reliable, verifiable, and data that can be used for planning. So let us all stay wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves. For example, go to Karu in Nasarawa state here, Mararaba axis and all this, which are part of Nasarawa, but most of the inhabitants are in Abuja. By the time they leave, you can understand that that place is going to be empty, and you can see the massive of people that are coming from there. So we want people to remain wherever they are. If you are in Lagos, if you are in Kano, wherever you are. And the census questionnaires have questions to know when did you leave your locality, how many years have you stayed where you are, and all these things, and it will help us to back estimate or back tell you the number of people that are from this state, the number of people that are in this local government area, irrespective of where they are staying in Nigeria within the census period. Similarly, we'll be able to tell you how many people that we have from that are not in Nigerians but are living in Nigeria. So please, census is de facto. Wherever you normally reside, that is where we expect you to be during the census. All effort will be done to ensure that every Nigerian is enumerated. Like my Nasara has highlighted severally, census is a national project. The commission is only having the privilege or opportunity to superintend over it. But every Nigerian need to participate in the census. You can see some videos going around. Have you participated in 1973 census? You know, and so you find out that it's a national project. Every person is engaged. Every individual is engaged. You are either our enumerator, or you are a field functionary, or you are a respondent.
Yes.
So, or you are a community leader. And everybody, religious leaders, everybody has a role. And that is, we are very mindful of that. And that is why we are doing everything possible to ensure that every Nigerian is engaged. Because we can't do it alone. There are communities you go to, you can't even get food to buy. So you have to rely on that community to give you food. Even you have money, you can't get accommodation. So you have to rely on the community to give you accommodation. So it's a national project, and Nigerians should consider it as such, give the commission all the necessary support, present them themselves to be counted once in the right place only. And I believe that we'll get that from Nigerians. And we are going to do a transparent process. We are going to open our processes and to every Nigerians, and we are going to give Nigerians a verifiable census. We all have our names, and we are doing everything possible. The census is not the end of our life career. We want to move ahead. So everybody in the commission is doing everything possible to ensure that we get a credible census.
All right, and it's at that point we'll leave this conversation. I'd like to say thank you to our guests. Let me say thank you very much to Nia Kinshiju who joined us here. Thank you so much for your
pleasure, as always. Thanks so much.
Again, thanks to Dr. Mainensara Kugo Umar for being here. Thank you.
Me Nigeria develop from the census.
And, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Inua Bakari Jalingo,
thank you very
National
much.
Population Commission Census Manager.
Thank you very much.
Well, when we started this conversation, it was 22 days, thereabouts, yes, 22 days to the National Population and Housing Census. Now we're concluding it's 21 days to go. So we thank you for being part of this program. Next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. I say, you count and be counted.
Once only.